So let's close our eyes, starting. Let's start with the initial prayer by closing our eyes, mentalizing Jesus, being thankful for the opportunity of having all of us here tonight, asking that Jesus and his team of good spirits may be with each one of us in our own houses, harmonizing the environment of our homes, preparing our hearts and our minds to absorb this beautiful lesson that we will have tonight, in which we will be talking about faith. So we ask the good spirits to help us to not only listen, but also to absorb and put in practice some of the things that we will be learning tonight. We thank you all for being here tonight. So be it. So thank you, everyone. I'm very excited to have you here. So many of those that were with us are also on Saturday during our charity practice. Thank you guys for being here. And tonight, we are going to be talking about the chapter 19 of the Gospel according to Spiritism. And this chapter talks about faith. And so I would like to start. I'm not a teacher, but I'm following, Ana Lucia's way of conducting classes, and Cara also is great on doing this. They usually ask you guys to put things on the chat, so I'm trying to be cool tonight. If you could, in the chat, just to drop a few words, or even if just in one word, what is your understanding of faith? What do you think what faith is for you? And I'm going to give you just a moment so you can put your ideas in the chat. So I have belief, a jump into the unknown, belief in the impossible, doubt, trust, hope. Wow, I love how many different, meanings. Strength to carry on, very good, Ana Lucia. And so I think, the most common conception that we all have out there, like in different religions at least, is this understanding that faith is a belief. And it is the believing in something, it is part of being faithful. It's maybe one of the most important steps, or the first one. Because especially if we are talking faith in God or religious type of faith, it means that a belief, it means that you accept, you acknowledge, you believe in a higher power, divinity or something greater. But faith, the meaning, the understanding that Spiritism brings it goes beyond this. So many people put in the chat trust, and it's exactly about that. Faith for Spiritism also has this understanding of trust and surrender. Surrender is a very important word, and just to give you a little bit of an understanding of what surrender means. So let's say that this person is not religious, okay? So even if you are not religious, whenever you get into a plane, you don't know the pilot, you don't have access to all the certifications of the pilot to know if the pilot, how many hours he has had and, all the trainings that he has done, but you trust that the pilot is certified and is able to conduct you safely. But more than just trusting, because again, because you don't have access, there's no way other than believing in that, you are believing that a company, it's not going to hire someone that, doesn't know how to fly. So this idea of trust and surrender is basically, this is a silly example, but it's an example in which you can understand how, whenever you get into this plane, you are putting your life, basically, this is the act of surrender. You are putting your life in the hands of this pilot. And you are hoping also that if something happens with the pilot, maybe the other person that is, in the cabin with him will be able to safely bring everyone safely back to ground, So this is an idea. This is faith, faith is not only, we are going to see tonight, this is what this chapter of the gospel brings to us. The faith is not only in the divine, we also can have faith in each other. We can have faith in ourselves. So we are going to talk about this concept of human and divine faith. But talking a little bit more about surrender. When Jesus, he came, he incarnated, and he brought his teachings that later on were documented by the disciples. And then we had the gospel. So the gospel brought us this idea, these teachings that help us to better live our lives. I believe a week or so ago, when Karen was the one giving the talk, the public meeting, she even referred to the gospel as how did she say, like a book, a book with a list of things that we need to do to be happy and to advance morally and spiritually. But the gospel is more than this. It does help us with all of that, but also gives us this teaching of faith, so many different teachings of faith. And even during one of the most famous prayers that we have out there, the Our Father, we say, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So when we are saying those words, do we really understand what are the meaning of those words? Those words have the meaning of surrender. When we are telling God that his will should be done on earth as his will is done in heaven, it's because we are trusting, and whenever we can have this type of trust, this can remove so much weight from our back, because it's only when we start understanding that, sometimes some of the issues, it's also here the concept of more than surrender is also the concept of resignation a little bit. And this stubbornness that so many of us we have, that we want things to be in the way that we think it's great for us. And so this idea of surrender it's understanding that even though sometimes I desire plan A to happen, maybe this is not the best thing that God has in mind for me. And it's, accepting, as the prayer says, that God's will be done, and that is the best plan for us. I was sharing with the others, with Rafa and the others of our little course on Saturday, that I am trying to buy a house. And so last week we put it in offer, and I was very excited. And I was doing my best during my prayers, to keep my mind open and to say, God, if this is the place in which you have envisioned that it will be my home, it will be the place in which I will have my kids and raise my kids, your will be done. but it's very hard to let go of that attachment, because you were like, yes, I should really be trusting in God. I should really be surrendering and, practicing resignation. But it's still, between the theory, between what we know that we should do and what we actually do, there is a little bit of a, not even a disconnection, but I feel that's why we are still imperfect spirits. We still have a lot of work to do inside of ourselves, and it is wonderful when we already have in our minds the understand of the theory, but it is a work. It's not an easy task, to put in practice all of that. But basically, tonight this talk is an invitation for us to surrender, to understand that it's important that we have faith. It's important. We are going to talk a little bit about magnetism and the power of our thoughts, the power of our will. But it's also important that sometimes we consider that we don't know everything. We don't have the bigger picture. And it might be the case that, our destiny, the things that are reserved for us, are not necessarily the things that we want right now. It's that saying that, maybe sometimes a door is closed, but a window is open for us, so this is the idea of surrender. And also, just finishing, whenever we surrender, this also brings us some serenity. And this serenity is what, especially nowadays with everything that our society and us also, we are all facing, we do need this serenity inside of our hearts. So I found this this week, and I thought it was perfect for this talk. It says, you can't control everything. Sometimes you just need to relax and have faith that things will work out. Let go a little and just let life happen. So it's interesting because I have been reading and hearing more and more about this human trait. It's like a trait of our personalities that we all have, that we need to control things. But why is that? This actually is explained from an evolutionary standpoint, that we need to be in control of things, because this gives us a sense of stability, of certainty, and so that's why so many of us, we like to control. We like to have this clear picture of how we would like things to be, or whenever we are praying, we want certain things. We want God to grant us our desires, the things that we feel that are important for us. Like in my case, that house that I ended up not buying last week. But whenever we get too attached to control, this causes us resistance. And this resistance can be a problem in two ways. Number one, we are being resistant to maybe other opportunities that are out there for us. And whenever we are being resistant, maybe the opportunity is right there, it's in front of us, and we are not seeing it. Or we might even see the opportunity, but then think about all the time that we have already spent, being upset and trying to control and trying to fix things so they can go our way. So that is one thing. But also, if we are all here, I believe that we are always Spiritists, or at least we believe in the Spiritist cause and in Spiritist teachings. And we all know that, some of the situations, or even most of the situations that are put in our lives, they have lessons to teach to us. So whenever we are too attached to that control, we are resisting too much against whatever lesson we are going to have. This is only causing delay for us. It's a delay in evolving. We also know that the spirituality has already told us so many times in so many different Spiritist books that this lesson that you have to learn, you will learn. There is an easy route for you to take, which is when this is presented to you in the first time and you get the message, and then you can move on. But then if you are being too controlling, if you are being too, resisting too much, then the situations will keep repeating. The patterns will keep repeating in our lives until we can finally open our eyes and get the message. So this is just, a general invitation for us. And I am guilty of, so I can be controlling sometimes very frequently, not even, once in a while. But it's a good thing for us, to stop and understand that, faith, it gives us this peace, this serenity, whenever you release, when you let go a little bit, when you don't have all this pressure on you of needing to fix the world, needing to fix the things around you. When you trust in God, when you trust in the spirituality, this also helps you to find some peace and serenity in your heart. As I mentioned before, this chapter brings us this idea that faith is both human and divine. As I mentioned, the story about the person that is in an airplane, that person may not even believe in God, but he is being faithful in the pilot in that moment. Or maybe, someone that believes in his or her potential of realizing certain things. Sometimes, whenever you have that goal in your mind and you really set yourself that I am going to achieve this, I'm going to make this happen. This is when this is the concept of the human faith. And so this is from this chapter of the Spiritist book. And it says, faith is both human and divine. If all incarnates could be persuaded of the force which they carry within themselves, and if they wish to place their will at the service of this force, they would be capable of producing the so-called miracles that are nothing more than the development of human faculties. And so with this, just save that thought. With this chapter also talks about this famous saying from Jesus that faith can move mountains. So basically the context in here is that there was this boy that was possessed, the Bible says, by demons. We Spiritists know that the boy had some less evolved spirits with him. And so basically the father of this boy approached Jesus and asked Jesus to have mercy of his son. And the father of this boy also said that he brought his son to the disciples, and the disciples could not heal him. So that's why, now he's coming and he's talking to Jesus. And then Jesus said, "You unbelieving and perverse generation, how long shall I stay with you? How long shall I put up with you? Bring the boy to me." And then he said, and then the disciples asked Jesus, why was that they couldn't really perform this miracle and, you know, the healing. There is more to this story. He goes on talking about love and all of that, but basically his answer was, because you have so little faith. I truly tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible to you. So basically, this is the human faith, you know, this ability to perform miracles that Jesus had and so many of his disciples had. And even nowadays, so many mediums or so many healers out there, they can cure people, they can cure physical diseases. So this is nothing more than the human faith. And so we start talking about faith and magnetism. And I know that so many of you that are watching here today are also doing the PASSES course. And one of the lessons in the PASSES course is that in order for you to conduct a Spiritist path, your will is very important. For anything related to mediumship, you know, you setting up your mind, you have the goal, having the will clearly, you know, wanting for that to happen, wanting to really cure the person that is in front of you, or, you know, as the disciples were doing. And so the will is very important. And so here we talk a little bit about the magnetism. The magnetism is one of the greatest proofs of the power of faith when we are able to put it into action. It is by faith that it heals and produces those strange phenomena which were formerly called miracles. The power of faith has a direct and special application in magnetic action. Thanks to it, man acts upon the fluid, and the fluid here that we are talking is the universal fluid that is around all of us, that permeates the universe. And so it's through the magnetism that man can act upon this fluid, modifying the qualities of this fluid. And it generates an impulse. And this is how some of these cures can happen. That's why Jesus told his apostles, if you could not heal, it was because you had little faith. And not only this, you know, we are talking, of course, miracles and big things, but I was reading recently one Spiritist website that was comparing that very famous book that nowadays everyone reads it and it's out there. The Secret is called The Secret. And then the book was being compared to a book from Emmanuel that basically has a very similar message. He also talks about, you know, the power of our thoughts, the magnetism that we have in our thoughts, and that whenever we can really set our mind, set our intentions and our will, we can achieve so many things. So moving along on this, since good thoughts align to our will, aligned to our faith, can produce not only miracles, but also our progress, our spiritual progress. I would like to stop right now and just ask you. You don't need to put in the chat. This is just a question for us to ask ourselves. What are the types of thoughts that we have been directing to others? Not only to others, I would like to expand. What are the type of thoughts that we have been directing to ourselves? Every time, and I am basically repeating a little bit of Kara a couple weeks ago. Oh, and here she is. I talk her name, and Kara enters the room. Kara she is doing public meetings based on that book, Thought in Life. And a couple weeks ago, she did this talk about the power of our thoughts. So whenever we are thinking of another person, we are emanating energy to this person. We are directing a force field to this person. That's why, Jesus so many times told us to not bear false witness, not condemn anyone, not desire the things of our neighbors and things like that. And a very simple example, I know that those that are from Brazil, you probably know stories like this from your grandmother, of like, my grandmother, she used to have like so many flowers around the house, and like not only flowers, but like beautiful plants and things like that. And she would always talk about this friend of her, that this friend of her would go to her house, and the person would say, "Oh, what a beautiful flower." And then the next day, the flower was dead. There are so many stories out there like this, and this is nothing more than an association of, your will, your energy. Sometimes they actually say that some of these people that just by saying, "Oh, your flowers are beautiful," and something happens to the flower, this person might be a medium that is not having his mediumistic capabilities really trained. But this is just, again, a silly example to make us reflect, what are the thoughts that we are directing to others, again, to ourselves, because sometimes we are very thoughtful, and we watch ourselves whenever we are thinking about other people, but we are very quick in thinking, "Oh, I am no good on doing, I don't know, on dancing. I'm horrible at dancing." Or you do something wrong, and the first thing that you think is like, "Oh, what a stupid thing," So it's a moment for us to stop and to think, to try to improve the way that we are treating ourselves, that we are thinking of ourselves, that we are thinking of others. Also, I heard this recently, and I have been trying to put this in practice, that they say that whenever you are cooking, whenever you are making food for your family, you should try, to have good thoughts in your mind in that moment, because it's not only the physical food. It's not only, you are also providing energy. And that's probably why the food from our grandmothers always tastes so good, because our grandmothers, they usually love whenever they have the grandchildren around, and whenever they are cooking for us, they put so much love, so much good feelings, and happiness in really preparing that for us. So let's move along, but this is probably the biggest reflection of tonight's talk. And so we keep talking about the power of faith. And so on the top, this is from Paul in one of his letters to the Hebrews. He said of how to say epistles. He says, "Now faith is the confidence in what we hope for and the assurance about what we do not see." So confidence on our own abilities renders capability of accomplishing physical things that we would not be able to do if we doubt ourselves. So just like I was talking before, some of the miracles that were performed, or being able sometimes by our thoughts to manifest certain things in our lives. How many people that were sick and they really believed that they would find cure for the disease that they had, and they were able, to manifest that. So in the moral sense, when Jesus also talked about the mountains, of course, he didn't mean that we would physically be able to move a mountain. But the mountains that he means are difficulties, resistances, and problems that we all have in our lives. So any prejudices, any material interests, selfishness, blindness, passions, those are the mountains that block our way to progress. And so when he says that faith can move mountains, it's because we need to have faith not only in God, but also in ourselves. Because again, bringing this message to us, bringing this message to all the times in which we know that we are faulty, we know that we have so many things to improve, but we don't give ourselves the opportunity. But we don't believe that we are able to overcome, maybe our vices, maybe certain patterns of our behavior. We sometimes have this mentality that I grew up being short-tempered. I was born being short-tempered, and this is a trait of my personality. We should not accept certain things as being, things that we cannot change. We should have faith, not only in God, but in ourselves as well. Now, whenever we are talking about faith in being able to manifest certain things, it's very important, or even as I mentioned before, the power of our will and all of that. It's very important to say that in this chapter, the spirits, they specify that what is the sincere and the true faith. They say that it's always calm, it provides us with patience, that knows how to wait. So see here, again, the surrender coming in here. It's not like in the control. It's not always when we want. We need also to know how to wait. Because it carries the certainty of arriving at objective. Calmness in the midst of a struggle is always a sign of strength and confidence. And very important, the spirits talk about this at least 2 or 3 times in a couple paragraphs. They say that we should never confuse faith with presumption. So it's not because in this chapter they are saying that we do have this power within ourselves, that now we are going to be presumptuous and that we are going to be around, feeling that we are better than anyone else, or maybe directing all these energies to things that are not good. So they say that true faith is always linked to humility. Those who have it deposit more confidence in God than in themselves. So this is the thing. Even though we also have power in ourselves, even though faith is both human and divine, we should never forget that we are all creations of God, that God is the supreme power. So it says that we should deposit more confidence in God than in ourselves, and know that we are simple instruments of divine purpose, and that we cannot perform anything without God. Now, we are spiritists, right? So we also believe in the aid of the good spirits for us. So do we think that if we are being presumptuous, if we are having too much pride, these spirits are going to be helping us to achieve something that will delay even more our advancement? right? So that's why we should always, try to practice this faith with humility, with patience, and in being calm. And whenever we are praying, we should not only pray, include the words of like, this is what I would like to have, but it's very important to put ourselves in the humble position in saying, some examples saying, if this is of your will, if I am to deserve, I don't know, the cure of something, whenever we are putting ourselves in this humble position, in this humble shoes, chances are that even if it is not to give us the direct answer for what we are praying for, the spirits will come to our aid, at least to help us to endure the trial, at least to giving us the strength to be able to surpass, the trial or whatever it is that is going on in our lives. So it's very important that we trust these spirits. We trust our mentor, our guardian angel is a wonderful ally for us whenever we are, trying to exercise faith. Now, a big thing for Spiritism is also this idea of a reason faith. So this is also from the gospel, and it says, so then have faith with all that it contains of beauty and goodness, with pureness and rationality. Do not accept a faith that cannot be substantiated. Love God, knowing why you love him. Believe in his promises, knowing why you believe in them. Follow your counsel, convinced of the end to which we direct you, and the ways by which we take you in order to achieve it. Believe and wait without losing heart. Miracles are the works of faith. So Kardec talks a lot about this, about, this idea of not being, not believing in something just because you are being told to believe, or not having this blind type of faith. Because he says that this blind type of faith is what sometimes causes intolerance. So Spiritism, and when I say Kardec, he was the person basically organizing all the teachings. The teachings are actually coming from the team of spirits, right? But the message that Spiritism has is that this reason faith that they talk so much is basically the act of really thinking, of questioning and reflecting on your beliefs. And more than that, allowing yourself to live respecting your free will, the free will of your neighbor. So if you believe in Spiritism, if you believe in reincarnation, and maybe your neighbor has a different belief, it's okay. It's okay. You can accept that. This is the message of tolerance, of inclusivity. And this is also a beautiful thing about Spiritism. Sometimes we feel that the more you study, the more questions you have. Like when I was studying to come in here and to talk about faith in magnetism and how, whenever we think of someone, we are emanating energy, I had a million questions in my mind. And I wanted to start reading different books so I could really go deep in this and try to understand. And this is the message of a reasoned faith, is to believe in God, but also, to be in a constant look for learning more, to maybe opening ourselves to changing our mind, because the more that we advance, the more information we will have out there. More books are being published. Science is also developing more and more in bringing some confirmation to so many, things that Spiritist books have talked in the past. So this is also, whenever we are talking faith, it's important to bring this up, that the spirits do not expect you to just blindly trust on everything. It's important also that you are asking yourself about your beliefs. As this slide says, why you love God, why you believe in God, having those answers inside of you. And so I'm almost getting in the end of this talk. But basically, the gospel is an invitation for all of us to exercise faith, understanding that this incarnation, we are on a, and I struggle with this word, and a pilgrimage. I'm sorry. The difference is that some are aware of the steps that they are taking, others walk because someone is behind or someone is in front pushing them. But the invitation from Spiritism is that we should walk with autonomy, with confidence, with awareness of our steps, assuming the reins of our spiritual destiny, and knowing how to deliver the reins to God in what concerns to his part. So walking with autonomy, confidence, and awareness. See how we should trust on ourselves. Our will is very important. So this is the message in here. Our will is very important whenever we are setting our minds. It doesn't really help for you, as I did so many years growing up. Before going to bed, I would recite the whole, I don't know, Our Father and Holy Mary, and I wouldn't even think the words that I was saying was a little bit meaningless because my will was not there, my attention was not there. I was basically just pronouncing words, right? And this message also talks about, assuming the reins of our spiritual destiny, because, that's why we should not bother by the beliefs or my neighbor, because I have better business to take care of. I have my spiritual evolution to take care. So I should think about what I am, what I believe, how can I improve, and understand that this person is also doing their best to the best of their abilities, of their possibilities, and it is fine. But finally, this message also talks that we also need to know how and when to deliver the reins of our life, of our spiritual destiny to God. And so this is the surrender part. This is the trusting in God and trusting that his will be done on earth as in heavens. So I would like to end saying that we should have faith in God, trust that he's taking care of us, and also accepting what is, let go of what was, and have faith in what will be. I thank you all for being here tonight, and I'm just gonna open for any questions that you might have. And if you guys don't have any questions, I'm just gonna give you a moment so you can grab water and prepare yourself for the spiritual classes. Thank you, Rafa. Okay.
Very good, Angela. Thank you.
Thank you, Angie.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you very much.
I'm gonna put the pencils.
Let's prepare ourselves now for the moment of the passes and the blessing of our water. Place by your side a container with clean water to be blessed and magnetized. Dear brothers and sisters, no matter where you are in this moment, what difficulties you're facing, Jesus is always ready to come to our help. Place yourself now in a comfortable position, one that facilitates concentration and receptivity. Breathe slowly and calmly. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Fill your lungs with air and release slowly. Let the energy of tranquility and peace penetrate your lungs and circulate throughout your body. Your soul, in harmony with your body, feels peaceful and at peace. Let us think now about the passage of Jesus among us. In a beautiful and clear day, the golden rays of the sun illuminating the joyful landscape. Multicolored flowers, bouncing, chirping birds fill the landscape with optimism. The news of the cures brought a crowd of needy people around Jesus. Suddenly, Jesus appears, calm and serene. His white tunic is light and long all the way up to his feet. At the sunset, all those who were sick and affected by different diseases were brought to him, and Jesus, laying his hand on each one, healed them, as narrated in the Gospel of Luke. Let's mentalize now Jesus approaching us in this moment, placing his friendly hands on top of your head. Feel the presence of this Divine Master right with you, feeling like a waterfall of pure and crystalline waters start to fall from his hands, coming from his love to bathe you, falling on your head, streaming down your shoulders, bathing your whole entire being, bringing you peace, serenity, and balance, cleaning all impurities and pacifying yourself. Feel these waters bathing you, cleansing, and purifying. Breathe. Now think of Jesus as a sun right before you, his light, his warmth, embracing you, enveloping you. Feel the healing emerging, emanating from Christ towards you. He hears your prayers. Trust him. His love is infinite. He is always by your side, protecting, offering everything you need. Trust him. Feel and absorb all these magnificent healing energies coming from Jesus in this moment. His light surrounds and embraces you. Feel these energies running throughout your body. Feel yourself re-energized, strengthened, and at peace. Dear Lord Jesus, our divine friend, extend your generous hands, Lord, and transform these waters into remedies for our physical and spiritual ailments. Hold us, Jesus, in your peace. Extend your vibrations of love for the benefit of my home, dear Lord. May peace, health, tranquility reign here with my family. We give thanks to you, Jesus, and pray that you stay with us today and always. Thank you, God.
So we now proceed to the final prayer by placing our will, our faith in God, in our mentors in this moment, asking them to guide us towards this reasonable faith, asking them to help us to believe in the potential that we have inside of every single one of us, while at the same time also being able to surrender and trust in God's will, trusting that God in the spiritual plane have our best, have the best plan for every single one of us. So we ask that we are able to find this peace and this tranquility of mind by being able to exercise this surrender, by being able to fully exercise and practice faith, while firmly believing in God, in the spirituality, and studying more and more about Spiritism. We ask that the good spirits can harmonize all the homes in here represented, can help us to also bring light and love to the homes of every single one of those families that we assisted on Saturday, helping them also to find in faith the strength that they need to establish this life in this country. Thank you all for being here tonight. So be it.